If you study the miracles, one of the first questions that people want to know is, what do these all mean? One answer that people give is that Jesus performed miracles in order to instill faith and to give people confidence in Him, to believe in His deity, to show His deity. If Jesus' miracles proved His deity, what did Moses' miracles prove? Peter's miracles, Paul's miracles, were taken by some to mean they were divine, and they were horrified by it, remember? Some people say it was a reward for faith. But the truth is that many people who received miracles were not believers at all. Do you think everyone who received the bread when Jesus fed 5,000 was a believer? Jesus' miracles are one proof that the kingdom has indeed come, that the kingdom has arrived. He heals people and says, this woman has been released from her bondage to Satan. That's Luke 13, verse 16. Proves the kingdom's here. There is a unity in His words to His person. And in fact, on 14 different occasions in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, I say to you. He doesn't quote anybody. He doesn't have any authority that He's interested in. He doesn't need an authority. See, when I say something that's radical, I want to say, and not only do I believe this, but there's this great scholar. He believes it too. See, Jesus doesn't need any scholars to back Him up. Chapter 8, verses 1 through 4, Jesus, He heals the leper with a word. Verse 3, be clean, and he was immediately cleansed. 8, 5 through 13, a centurion asked Jesus to heal his servant. Jesus says, I'll come. He says, oh no, you don't need to. Just say the word, and my servant will be healed. And He says the word, and the servant is healed. Chapter 8, verse 16, many came to Jesus who were demon-possessed, and He drove out the spirits with a word. With authority and power, He gives orders to evil spirits, and they go out. So by His word, He speaks authoritatively on life in the kingdom, on the life of righteousness. And by words, He performs mighty deeds. Both manifest the kingdom, both manifest His authority and His power. It says in 8:1, Jesus came down from a mountain. And as He did, a man with leprosy came and knelt before Him and said, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. He comes to Jesus, and he kneels before Jesus, which is a way of doing two things. One, it's a way of showing the reverence in which he holds Jesus. It's also a way of keeping his distance, because after all, he is a leper. Jesus said, I am willing to be clean. What happened next? He reached out. Now pretend you're in the first century. What is leprosy? It's an incurable disease of the skin. Right? So if you're all watching, and Jesus, what are you all thinking right now? Jesus reaches out, but Jesus reaches out and touches the man and says, I'm willing, be clean. What do you think that would be like for the man who is touched? It would probably be, in some ways, horrifying, but in some ways, deeply healing, deeply comforting, profoundly moving that Jesus, whom he might know even as Savior, would actually reach out and touch him. And this interesting thing happened. Instead of Jesus catching the man's uncleanness, the man caught Jesus' cleanness. When you contracted leprosy and it was shown that you had the disease, you were, as you know, excluded from society. You had to leave your home, your city, your family, your friends, your job, and live with other lepers outside the cities. So when Jesus touched this man, it wasn't just an act of healing him physically, it was an act of healing him socially. It was an act of restoring him to society. Think about who receives Jesus' miracles. Certainly a Jewish male like the leper, the paralytic, whom you read about for today. Gentiles like the centurion and like the Gadarene demoniac. Women, we'll briefly allude to the woman who had the hemorrhage for over a decade, and to a little girl who died. To the rulers and to the rich, like a centurion, like a royal official who's mentioned in John chapter 4. And also to the poor, the outcast, like this leper. And we can also see that Jesus' miracles cover every realm, every range of action. Disease, we'll see also nature, demons, and sin.